Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have free time once again, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, today's ink is not in its genuine bottle. I had an empty diamine bottle, and so I put it in here because I over-twisted the cap on and broke the cap, so I had to put the ink somewhere. And so today's ink is Noodler's Navy, which is sort of this color. And all the tests were done in this Pilot 78G, but I was hoping to show you something about the nib. Now if you look at the one on the left, the corners are a bit sharper than the one on the right. This is the standard. See, the corners are a little rounder. This one, I sharpened it up just a little so I could get more noticeable contrast between the up and down strokes. It's a double broad nib that I sharpened, for lack of a better word. So, oh, I should close that too. I may have to edit this. Anyways, here's the chromatography. As you can see, there's something going on here in regards to water resistance. There's sort of this grayish blob, and then this sea foamy light blue, and then this dark gray slate blue, and then pretty standard blue up at the top. Let's get into the paper tests. Top down in density, Clairefontaine 90 grams per square meter. 11 seconds to dry, which isn't too bad. Come on, camera. Good shading, which I feel like you see in the cross strokes and there, and the words. I mean, look at that. That's nice contrast. But this blue is not what I think of as blue. It's like a dark turquoise. It's really not. When I think of navy blue, I think of like, well, navy blue. This is more green and it's a bit lighter. I still love it though. It just doesn't evoke navy blue. No bleed feather spread. Did I like it in a stub? I really feel like the stub brings out some of the best qualities. And here we have some of that. I mean, some of the water resistance, it's sort of this grayish color, but then that light sea foamy blue starts dyeing the page. So, yeah. And here's Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter. Great shading. Love it. Look at that. Just great. 10 seconds to dry. Really not too bad. Good flow. I like Noodler's turquoise, and since this is just a darker turquoise with a bit more staying powder, I really like this ink. Again, the water test, you get that grayish color with the sea foam dyeing around it, and I wanted to take a note. It's easy to clean, this ink, at least in my humble opinion. I've never had any trouble with it. Doesn't dye the inside of pens. Next is Tomoe River Paper, where it took 12 seconds to dry, and you get some serious shading. And it's gorgeous. I mean, look at that just in the scrub. And then there, and I mean, look at the R. And I said, sheen not seen, but possible. The closest thing I can say is like it's flirting with sheen. It's like it could be there if it just, I don't know. Like, it could be there. I'm not going to get it on camera because it's not actually there, but it is so close. If this were in like a wet, broad nib, there'd be sheen, but there isn't. No bleed feather spread. Again, that's fairly dark, that's fairly readable, it's fairly there, but you do get a bit of that sea foamy overflow thing going on. Next is that cheapo 20-pound copier paper, the new stuff that I hate. But it took 1.5 seconds to dry, and it's spread and it's pretty woolly, but I said the sharpness of the stub seems to be helping with feathering, because yeah, I mean it still spreads and it still gets woolly, but there's not quite feathering. And since it's such a severe stub and it writes a little dry, look at that. Yeah. On this paper, I mean, now we've seen several tests with this paper and it's usually a mess. Like a granted water test, but that's really not bad. And again, pretty clear, not a lot of feathering or exploding. You just get that sea foamy runoff going on. Next is Mead Notebook Paper, where, again, just 1.5 seconds to dry. Said good pen paper ink combo. I think it's partly due to the sharpness of the stub and the way it sort of drags the ink around. I said not horrible bleed, feather, or spread. And there are hints of shading remaining, like if you look at the bottom of these letters. Again, it's not terrible, you know? I mean, maybe it's because it's such a dry, or replicates being like a dry nib because of how sharp the stub is. But yeah, really not bad. It didn't explode or feather too much. You just get the sea foamy thing. And lastly is Moleskine Notebook Paper, where oddly it took just as long to dry in the broad downstrokes as the thin strokes, 5 seconds. But look at this. You get shading. That is shading. Sometimes I say there's kind of shading on this paper, but no, you get it. Look at the top of the W, top of the N, end of the B. Yeah, not bad. Said great pen, paper, and ink combo. Minimal bleed, feather, spread. Even in the shaded parts. I mean, usually that's where there's the most ink and thus the most potential for feathering, and it's really not too bad here. Water test could be better, but I mean, it's fairly dark, it's fairly there. You do get the sea foamy thing going on. Look at that. Really not too bad. So I have to think that this ink, Noodler's Navy, if you were to put it in a fine nib and a dry nib, it would do well on just about any paper you could put it on. It has fairly decent dry times. It has pretty impressive water resistance. It gets a little messy, but what remains is there and it's clear. So for your consideration from the Triple N Network, Noodler's Navy. Not really a navy blue, but a nice blue. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.